Hi, I'm Exysis, and this is Terra Invicta. And today we're going to be looking a little bit at weapons. More specifically, the first weapons you will be putting on your ships. We all know that we are recommended to go with Artemis, and that is the best and most viable choice. And this has certain merit as well, but I did want to see what merits the other weapons have too. What do we need to get Kraits to work? What do we need to get Copperheads to work? 30mm, 40mm, 6-inch cannons even. And because these are very early weapons you get when you unlock the first hulls. We've also got the 60mm IR laser and the E-beam and particle cannon, and also the first railgun. These are all on the escort, so they're all hull weapons. There are no nose weapons here. Which of course are usually a little bit better, but especially for the lasers and the railguns here. Even the cannon should be better, but they do have a little bit lower rate of fire. But I wanted to have a good baseline of which weapons are actually usable. I have also been looking a little bit at different drives, and more specifically, what does the combat thrust actually do in combat here. So we've got the grid drives down here with less than 5 millig's. We got the Nerva with 120, the Advanced Pulsar with 200, the Cermet Nerva with 440, and most of these tests have been done using the Advanced Nerva with 840. This could be replaced with a Dumbo just as well, which has 100% unlock chance. We've got about 8 Delta V on most of these ships to play with. The grids have a little bit more. They can't use it in combat, of course. And the Pulsar also has a little bit more and also has trouble using it in combat. But otherwise we're right around 8 for most of these. And they can use about 4 to 6 before the combat is over. So to do this we'll be looking at both the designs, and we'll be looking a little bit at or more importantly, we'll be looking at how they actually fare in combat. Okay, so let's just go through the design we've been using for these tests. And we've got 8 silicon carbide frontal armor, nothing on the sides, nothing on the rear. And for most of the ships we've got one 6-inch gun battery here set to attack, and a 30mm autocannon set to guardian. And then we'll test with the 40mm and with a 6-inch gun as well, set to guardian. We're using the advanced Nerva drive here. This gives us 827 millig's of acceleration. But this one is of course not something that unlocks all the time, so we could just as well use the Dumbo here. You can only get 5 of them on this reactor, but we get the same combat acceleration, or about the same way. I think it's even slightly more efficient. I just happen to use it's 1 ton lighter with the Dumbo one. We're using about 8 kps of Delta V. And they're all about 800 millig's except for the 2 ones that use different drives. We'll talk about those when we get there, but let's see them in combat as well then. Okay, so this is how I set the combat up. I add my ships over on this side, and I play off against one of these destroyers. And this is the classic surveillance destroyer you will meet in the beginning of the campaign. It has a bigger violet laser cannon, a small orange laser, and a magnetic battery. Coil gun, and it's pretty lightly armored. It's got 12 frontal armor here, so nothing very big here. And now we are using kinetic weapons, and with kinetic weapons the relative velocity makes a big difference in how much damage you do. So we want to enter it as fast as possible, and a viable strategy is to just burn straight ahead, or if you press target you can also go for an intercept. But I found that both of these will usually result in losses. What we'll do, we will go a little bit off to the right, because this one is centered onto our left side of our formation. And then we will start turning towards him, and we'll turn just a little bit more for every node. And we'll keep going 2 or 3 more nodes after this. And this will make most of their coil gun slugs actually miss us. And of course, as you might have seen here, we're using the 30mm autocannon and a 6-inch gun on these ships. These are absolutely basic techs. Now you can see that we've started our turn here, and he's started to fire. We can slow it down to what we're normally used to seeing here. And we'll just keep moving those off a little bit. And now all of our 6-inch guns are starting to fire. Now, sometimes we'll lose this ship, sometimes it'll survive. It really depends on lucky hits. If we were to put a little bit more armor on them, I think we could make them survive quite reliably. And see now the engines is knocked out here, so it can't avoid any more of these hits. And maybe even the 30mm is also knocked out here. So it's basically dead in the water. And then all of these shells will impact and we actually get the kill there. And that's not bad, losing one of these ships for a 5,000-ton destroyer. And if you're lucky, you get out with all 4 of them alive. One will be very, very, very badly damaged and might not be able to make it back to base. But sometimes you lose that 4th one, and sometimes you can make it survive. Okay, so here we're making a little bit of an upgrade. It's the exact same design, but the 30mm is replaced with a 40mm here. And the same thing, we go in at maximum speed. And you can see that we're off to the right of him. So we can actually turn just a little bit to the right first, and then kind of continue this sweeping movement down to the side. And we should still be pointing our frontal armor towards him most of the time. Let's put it up to fast speed here. We're burning a little bit to the right just to get a little bit more movement. And this is also a little bit off to lucky hits. Oh. Yeah, we lost our ship there. Sometimes it'll survive. Usually in these combats I seem to lose one ship. But now that all of these start to impact here and he's only just starting to retarget, we should be fairly fine. Alright, take those last ones, we take a little bit of damage. And we just about destroy him. 2 of these ships can fairly reliably take out the destroyer. 3 or 4 of course will do it even better. But you will most of the time suffer 1 casualty. That's just the nature of these close combat ones. And I think up-armoring the ships a little bit will make them come out alive. Okay, so in this next combat we're mixing it up a little bit. We are using the Nerva drive here. That only provides 120 mg of combat thrust. And we're using dual 6-inch guns instead of a 40mm. Now in case you haven't researched the 40mm, no, we got the 6-inch guns instead. And we set this one to Guardian mode. It'll help out a little bit with the point defense, and then they'll turn on the alien destroyer as well. Okay, same thing here. So we have only got 120 mg of combat acceleration here, which is actually enough to still make some of these evasive maneuvers. Let's go to the left here first, and then we go right. But you can see that these nodes just don't really change the vector of the ship very much. You can sometimes do this on just 3 ships, and even without actually losing one, because the 6-inch gun is quite good at defending against the railgun slugs. But it's it doesn't reliably actually kill the destroyer. So that's why we're using 4 ships, because we know that we can at least reliably kill off the destroyer there. You can see that they're actually helping each other a little bit out here too. And now we're just putting down the lead here. Let's turn the vectors off and just watch them all come in here. An easy kill. And we didn't even lose the ship. And as with all the other ones. Sometimes you lose this 4th ship, sometimes it survives. Okay, so what if we put a grid drive on this one then, and we only get 5 mg of combat acceleration? What happens then? Now we're still using the dual 6-inch gun setup here, and we'll have a look at these in combat as well. Okay, so this is the last combat video of something with kinetic weapons. So we're using the 2 6-inch guns here, and this time we're using the grid drive. So we're down to 4.5 mg of combat thrust. We have loads of delta V here, but there's not a lot we can do with it. what we're going to do here, we're going to set target and we're going to set intercept. And we're just flying straight at him instead. And these just, you just don't change the directions on these ships and nothing happens. We do need to speed up here or we'll never get there. And what you can do is just keep hitting this intercept button as you get more free nodes up here. Kind of plot them in. And you can see we're up to 660 about now. And we haven't started firing yet, so we're basically at starting velocity. We could just as well just keep start firing from or just drift ahead. And this is basically the drift ahead strategy. And now that we are getting a little bit closer, we do want to padlock these instead. Yeah, so that the frontal armor is always facing the destroyer. Now, because we are advancing so much slower, the destroyer of course has a lot more time to fire at us, which means that we take more casualties. And now that we're starting to impact here, it's actually starting to take some damage. And we can fire a little bit from behind, but as soon as we passed him, there's not a lot more we can do. It does look like he is dead in the water there though. So what the Nervas and the advanced Nervas can do, the grid cannot. We did not manage to actually succeed in killing this one. We might have done so with an additional ship. But I haven't tested more than 4 of them. And that is why the velocity is so important for kinetics. We just don't get enough power to actually punch through. Now of course this would interrupt the surveillance mission anyway, and also that this ship is dead in the water. And that means it can't move and it can't conduct any more missions anyway. And well, everyone says that missiles are the best, so of course we want to test those as well. Here we've got the Krait missile base. There's no magazines on this ship. And we're back to the advanced Nerva here again, so we're back to proper combat acceleration because the Kraits need it. The Kraits, they're not going to be able to do this on a grid. Or even on a Nerva, I think. I think you need something at least 400 or 500 millig's. Preferably up towards 1. But let's see how this one fares in combat. And we've still got some Delta V here. We're on the advanced Nerva again. And with this one we can actually do something here again. So we will try to avoid the railgun slugs by curving in a little bit. And not curving too much of course, because that means the lasers will hit us. And here we don't want to target directly, because as soon as we target they launch their missiles. And we want to have this speed up as high as possible. And now one of these ships will be targeted by a laser. That one is worth firing off before. And then we will wait until we have everyone else there. Okay, so there it goes. This ship is getting hit by missiles or by lasers. We will set target on that one. You can start firing here immediately. And we will wait a little while longer with the other ships. I see the lasers just took out the radiators, and the radiators are superfluous on this one for combat purposes. And we don't need to burn any further than that because we will have passed him by that point. And hopefully he will be dead by that point. And we want to wait and hold as long as possible. You can see that most of these railgun slugs are actually missing this ship. We have managed to maneuver enough. And there we go. And now we launch off all the other ones. We are 300 kilometers away. And this one looks to be disabled. Normally you will have the torpedoes from this one impacting as well. And this one is almost destroyed, but we still got another train here of torpedoes coming in. Let's just speed that up a bit. And these should be enough to actually take care of it. So, that's how you do it with the Krait missiles. And nothing really special here. We just exchanged the Kraits for Copperheads. We still got the massive acceleration here, and we kind of need it here too. Otherwise we will lose the ship. But if we do this little nifty trick here in combat, we don't actually have to lose a ship. So let's see. Okay, this time we're using the Copperhead. So advanced missiles use advanced missile tactics, right? We are heading backwards. We don't want to be in this fight, right? We just want to go home. There's a nice cold beer waiting at the resupply station. Let's set our target and we just dump off our missiles and say, no, we're out of here. And then just to be safe, we would like to for them to turn around. And then we just have to wait for the missiles to arrive here. And we'll slowly be gliding out of range from him. And now the distance is increasing again to our ships. And he doesn't have a chance to shoot down all of these Copperheads coming in. And very easy, very safe victory for us. Okay, so let's have a look at our last design here. This one is using Artemis torpedo base, and we're using 2 magazines. Sometimes one is enough, but I find that usually you actually need both of them to destroy this destroyer, because we are gonna 1v1 this destroyer. Now this, we're using the advanced Nerva drive here, and that means, of course, we're gonna do the same tactic as we did with the Copperheads, but it's also possible to use the grid drive here, because the Artemis torpedoes accelerate fast enough and for long enough that the destroyer usually sees the torpedoes as a greater threat than the ship, and will fire at the torpedoes instead of at the ship. And you can also see here we don't have any armor on this one, so we're actually vouching on not getting hit. And that's how I made up for the weight difference of the 2 magazines here. Okay, so let's see how this one does in combat then. We do the same thing as we did with the Copperheads. We turn even more sharply. We want to get out of here as soon as possible. We can use them all, that's no problem. We will set our target there. We've got plenty of acceleration on this ship. And we will just dump off all of our torpedoes. And this one has 2 ships worth of torpedoes on board because of the magazines, of course. And here we should be launching them all over this curve here. Let's speed it up a bit. And there they all go. Their magazines are empty. We probably don't need to padlock this one, but we might as well. And let's just look at these come in here, because this destroyer does not stand a chance. And there we go. That's how you 1v1 surveillance destroyer with a ship without any armor. Okay, so that kind of concludes our testing here. And I'll show you a table here, and you can see that I've tested a little bit more variations and things that I've shown here, of course. And what we can take away from this, of course, is that the Artemis and the Copperheads are still the king. 2 Artemis and 2 magazines will take out the destroyer on its own. And Copperheads might do the same with 2 magazines, actually. I haven't tried that. But there should be enough missiles in it to be able to do the same thing. Now, as for the bottom of the litter there, the railgun, the 30mm, the IR 60mm, and the I-beam particle weapon, they're all pretty much useless for this this kind of engagement. The railguns would probably be possible if you added another ship or 2 or 3 maybe. But compared to the amount of resources you need to put into one of those fleets compared to just building a single Artemis escort is so much more. And the extra thrust does actually help win combats there. I actually managed with the Cermet there, Cermet Nerva, to 2v1 the destroyer without any losses in one of them, but I think that was mostly down to luck. In most of these combats you can expect to lose one ship just because something has to take the damage. You might be able to armor them up enough, but the armor costs Delta V, and as we know, we do actually need this Delta V now. Before we could get away with only having 2 or 3 or 4 Delta V, and it didn't really matter. But now that we might need to go out to the L1 points with our ships, we kind of need that delta V. And the pulsar here does actually look quite good, because you get the delta V to actually get out somewhere, and you can bring enough weapons to actually destroy any ships that you encounter out there, and then you can return without having to build another base. The same goes for the grid, but the grid can't really maneuver, and as we saw, that leads to them you actually needing a little bit more of them either way. But they turn out a lot cheaper in water, of course. And you can probably spend a little bit more to get the armor up so they're a little bit more survivable instead. But they are flying bricks. They're not going to do anything fun or fancy. And the grid is also a very, compared to the other drives here, it costs a lot of research to get. And the Nerva is basically 100 research points away from from where you're usually at when you're starting to build ships. But that's all I have for today. So if you have any comments or any thoughts of your own, please feel free to voice them down in the comments. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Until then, take care.